Amanda Dudgeon. She's on a journey walking all of the Oceania countries to connect with rangers and to recognise rangers that have lost their lives on the job for a project called Walking the Thin Green Line Oceania. Her story is an incredible one, and she's been recording it and will produce it into a documentary film. As part of this project, in June 2023, she travelled to a village called Lumi in the West Torricelli Mountains of Papua New Guinea to meet with rangers from the Tenkile Conservation Alliance, or the TCA. To help Amanda out in PNG, the Queensland Ranger Association, or the QRA, sent 3 of its members along to provide on-the-ground support to Amanda and to deliver some field uniforms that were donated to the TCA by QRA. This good fella is Paul Berry. He works for technical support in Northern Parks. This one is me. I'm Ainsley Langdon and I work for Northern Wildlife Operations. And this fella is Andy Baker. He looks after fire management in technical support in Central Parks. Together, we had a window of just 9 days in PNG, with only a few days in Lumi, which was to include some walks into the mountain villages. The 3 of us began our preparations for seeing the animals of our dreams in what we naively thought of as the wild, untamed PNG jungle. Fauna guides were salivated over, while news of crash planes and delayed flights started to fuel fears that we would never reach our destination. But we decided to leave for PNG anyway, in the blind hope that it would somehow all pull together. When we reached Port Moresby and our flight to Wewak was cancelled at the last minute, we started to wonder if we would ever make it to Lumi, let alone get any time in the villages. But we kept positive and saw that there's nothing like a bit of stressful travel for getting to know each other. We overnighted at the dubiously named Shady Rest, and a 3 a.m. drive saw us back at the airport. This time though, there was a plane. We departed for Wewak, still not knowing if our charter for Lumi would run, but we went with hope again. We waited a day and a half in Wewak for our flight, and so took the time to visit an incredible waterfall, courtesy of our guide JL and our driver Go-Go Killer. We also met Lisa and James, a young European couple volunteering with the TCA for a year. To all our relief, the next day saw us board our missionary flight to Lumi with Joseph, the most charismatic pilot I can imagine. We arrived in a sodden Lumi and met Carl Hayward, a remarkable Australian working for the TCA for a year. He was our key to connecting with language and culture, as he acted as our translator and explained how Papuan cultural systems operated. We were driven from the airstrip to the TCA base, where we were about to begin the most humbling few days. We were welcomed with a wreath placed around our necks and a TCA hat placed on our heads. Then we walked down a corridor of every ranger and project officer from the TCA. That's the equivalent of 2 rangers and project officers from each of the 43 villages that we found out represent over 12,000 people that belong to the Alliance. Every single one of the rangers and officers shook our hand and welcomed us warmly, and we started to grasp the enormity of the Alliance and what they were achieving. We spent 2 days in Lumi, and we met with the rangers and shared stories of our work as rangers in Australia, whilst we learnt about what the TCA is all about. TCA's vision is clear. It's to save lives in PNG, the lives of people and animals, and to also conserve the places they live in. While they use the endangered Tenkile tree kangaroo as a flagship species, they've achieved broader forest conservation by establishing a hunting moratorium over a vast area of the Torricelli Mountains. There's been no hunting of any animals within any of the moratorium areas since 2007. As an outsider, it's really hard to imagine what this means. These are people with very little money who are continually ignored by government and given low rates by overseas traders, sacrificing their prime source of protein in their diet in order to save the species they are deeply culturally connected to. They survive on taro, sago, sweet potato, green leaves cooked into kumu, bananas, sugarcane, coconut and rice. Sometimes there's tinned mackerel. The absence of protein could not be ignored. We were then invited to spend 2 days walking to and staying in one of the Team C villages, Yomum. I'll let the video speak for our experience and just make one comment. I'm not a big crier, but I wept so many times at the humbling beauty, pride and generosity we experienced during our time there.
Papua New Guinea want them all this la play uniform lol staff. Planty like come that's all. Space no card na one black card that's all. So planty come also member yibla looking mosen. Yomum bless by o se kind of se take kalablo Tenkile straight. And that's all. O se more policeman.
Thank you, true. Much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's ready, then you mix it up with the kummus.
Yep.
Scrape the coconut, and you milk it, and then you cook it. It's very sweet. That's how we usually do it.
The villagers of the Tenkile Conservation Alliance are the real deal. They're incredibly proud of what they've achieved together. Villagers have rezoned their traditional lands into 4 zones: the conservation moratorium areas, farming areas, hunting grounds, and commercial agricultural lands where they're establishing cash crops such as vanilla, cocoa, and eaglewood. As a result of their work, the populations of endangered Tenkile and Waimang tree kangaroos are recovering. When rangers first saw Tenkile on their camera traps, grown men cried tears of joy. One ranger told me that the TCA is the only organisation they trust. This collective of villagers working together to conserve the natural world and to save the culture and people of the Torricelli Mountains really means something. But they're worried for their future. In a country like PNG, nothing is certain. They need ongoing help from trustworthy outside sources to continue developing in a way that preserves their culture. If you have the means, please consider donating to the TCA. If you have the knowledge, please consider reaching out to help identify the species they've photographed. I didn't end up seeing much in the way of wildlife during my time in PNG, but I really didn't care. I experienced something much better than I had experienced before, the kindness and the warmth of Papuans. It reminded this disconnected Westerner what it means to be part of community, and it transported me back to my childhood mentality of believing the world's beautiful and anything is possible if people come together with a common goal. I'll leave the final word to Irene's translation of the women's song about the Tenkile.
You said for me, I am in the moment.
She sing a song and say, where have you been since 15 to 20 years? And she is so special and she was
Monday.